Good morning. Okay, get some charts up here and get moving. Oh, yesterday maybe there's a little crack in the armor. Good morning. Good morning. Say good morning to our friends on social media. Yeah. So some cracks. Look at Apple on the teetering of violating its uptrend after this breakdown failure. And we'll see if this continues. So far, it's holding its own there. So that didn't look so hot yesterday as the selling was going on. Meta gave up a great setup, and we'll see if today can turn it around. But a setup like this, where you get a gap up from a move down like that, and it consolidates, and you get a close this way, it usually goes up. It didn't, so that's why I say little cracks in the armor there with these some of these FANG stocks because we're price pattern traders, and that pattern historically goes higher, and it didn't. So that communicates that things are changing a little bit. Look at Amazon, another crack. Now, one red bar doesn't change anything as far as the trend goes, but it's a shot across the bow, so to speak. The weekly is up near this prior resistance area. So this market has been resilient. Its ability to come back from cracks like this. Uh, that was a pretty nasty one. Come right back again. So if it can come back from that, it can come back from this. But we shall see. Remember the September seasonality. Next week is that options expiration. And that could be where the turn actually comes. But of course, we're always keeping an eye on what's happening. Um, a Tesla, it was at the high of the day yesterday, and I mentioned it in the green. I was like, we're looking at other things. I was like, oh, this still looks pretty darn good. And it turned into a topping tail. Up a little bit this morning, as you can see on the bottom chart there. But so far, things are just running in place, not a big deal. Uh, Nvidia, which is so loved, gapped up and it held on to the again. So there's a big positive. So we got negatives, we got positives, got a bit of a tug of war going on there. Microsoft, that looked like it was going to take a nosedive earlier, still might do that. I set an alert under today's low and see if it starts breaking down. Ultimately, like here, this 495, it stopped a little bit above 500, but breaking down below that, I think opens up the door to maybe a relatively large move to the downside, but definitely set some alerts. SMHs back up to the top of the range, there, bottom of the range, top of the range. And so we anticipate, as always, there will be sellers up there. Now it's up on the day, actually, like it's doing a poke above those highs. And I'm going to be very interested to see if this turns into a red day or it holds on to this gain. Dan was mentioning MU. Yesterday was Oracle. Today it's MU. Moving up very nicely from here. So short-term extended. Oracle didn't it gave up, but it didn't give up in a big way after such a monster gap. Uh, so more positives and other negatives to keep an eye on. And oh, the energy stocks were doing great yesterday. Where's my XLE? Huh, look, strong pullback. Down a little here this morning, but I'd keep an eye on some of these energy stocks to see if they can hold on. And that could be where the money is rotating into. Not the greatest of patterns, but on a short-term basis, right? We're all good with that. We can make a move up to the top of the range. Um, Software, which was rolling over, and I mentioned early in the week. Now maybe this is a little retest going on here, and now it come roaring back. So another positive. And well, let's take a look at right. Looks great. Another positive uptrend. So yesterday was like this market walks on eggshells but doesn't crack them. Could be another one of those things. Yesterday being a selling type of a day, it was. It was relatively whippy. Um, looked like it was going to hold on to the gain. Let's put that on a 5-minute chart for now. You know, came down, whipping around, and then eventually it started to give it back and came down into the gap fill and a little bit below that. But the spiders came down into the gap fill. And you can see, you know, just took a long time to get down there throughout the trading day. Let's get rid of this box. We were talking about it yesterday. And, so retesting, excuse me, the high of the day. Major support is down there. Our minor support is right there. And so yesterday or day before yesterday's low should be a place where you would want to be aware. If it should come back down there, that maybe the crack got a little wider within the markets, but pushing up to a new all-time high. What could be wrong? New all-time highs. Some of these FANG stocks getting shellacked like that, that's an issue. Transports rolling over because crude oil showed a little bit of strength. I mean, it's down a little bit today, not a big deal. Well, it was up, now it's down. Some more flip-flopping going on there. So that's a potent reversal. See if that goes to the downside. It's yeah, you want to set an alert or use USO if you don't have the futures. Set an alert down here. Right, it's gapping down, and so a little bit above those bars there to be aware if that comes down there, that's going to break that low. So we got a few things going on. Right? It's like, okay, the liquidity, the Fed's going to cut. I haven't looked at the 13-week is down. Probably not much of a change from yesterday. Right. So liquidity for the markets, the 10-year is down. And so is it recession fears, right? Or is it just no inflation? Right? Today's numbers came in a little hotter than yesterday's. And the inflation in month over month was 0.1% greater, and the year over year was the same. Well, was in consensus. It was 0.2 of a point more than was anticipated. So some more little data not confirming the prior, but we'll see what's going to happen. All right. So gold, it yeah, holding on up there for the most part, not really doing anything. The GDX, right? These gold miners continue to show strength after this red day. Um, see where we can see where they're at here. But this should be an interesting thing to keep an eye on to see, and just set an alert down near this low. We'll see if that gives it up. The dollar continues to hold its own, and I think that it's just based on this price action, I think it's going to move higher. So thinking doesn't mean it is until it is. But the price action and the intermarket analysis part supports that. It's just not doing it yet. So we're going to see. All right. I'm going to get to SPY and SPX. Let me post this link. Everybody get signed up for these presentations that I'm going to be doing. I always pack them with great education. It'd be worth your while to get in there, or at least if you're not going to participate on the day, you want to get the recording. It'll be great. I don't waste your time when I do these presentations. All right. Silver looks great. Right? That's bullish price action. Now, it's got to break out. But that momentum move out of this consolidation, this communicates that buyers don't want to give it up. Yes, it is different. UUP is different than DXY because UUP has dividends, and so it messes up the chart. I don't have that marked on this, but that's why they look. That's why they look different. We can look at. I don't want to get into all the different currencies, but you can see that the euro, it's more into a sideways trend. So just like when you look at the dollars, like, is it going to break out? Will it just break down again? You know, use the euro futures and set an alert below these lows and up above these highs. And so we're going to see. Uh, yeah, take a look at the pound, kind of directionless as well. Futures. I don't know if anybody around in the chat room or on the internet there does forex, but we don't do forex. That's a bit of a, I don't know what the right word is. I don't know. You got all these different market makers or brokers that are trading against you, the bids and the ass, or who knows what. Some people in Europe, they love that. I think it's a rigged market. All right, so YM futures, we're still waiting to see. Can it break out? It's in an uptrend, so we assume break out. Yeah, I'm gonna do them up at the top of the range there. So kind of been a lot of running in place wiggles. All right, let's do SPX. I mean, it's kind of just been, pick your spots and be patient. It's a market environment that'll chop you to death. Right, so opening up slightly higher. And that big up, hey, let's put the strike up in the stratosphere there. That seemed unlikely, but and I said yesterday's low. So these are our starting points, right? Then we wait for some movement and a pattern to develop. We like to fade the moves. When I don't mean fade, when I say fade the move, it's like it's gone to an extreme and it's exhausted. We believe it to have exhausted itself. based on smaller time frames and has stabilized to determine. Then you find out is there still premium or juice, as Dan calls it. Down a little bit. It's interesting how the call side has such a large difference of late. Hmm. All right, so markets are up a little bit. They're not moving much. And it's right here. So down here would be, and it's in an uptrend. I think down here should be a no-brainer. Right? The risk is always maybe it just goes up an unusual amount. So there you go. Well, yours, Dan.
Good morning. Raul has a couple ideas here. Let's look at first ACT. Yeah, bullish weekly. No, I don't want too much charts. Hold on. Raul ideas. It's top of the range. I'd like it to go sideways more. It is bullish. ESC is better. Is better. See the A/B test? Because this is a 180 top of the range, bullish weekly, bullish monthly. So yeah, I like this, but I will set an alarm at just 205.70. Yeah, the employment, I know we had CPI today, but also they had jobless claims and more unemployed people. So, I think this Goldman guy was saying, just go ahead and do a half now. And, why? If you're going to do it, just do it now. Why wait till next meeting? NEG, I just had an alarm go off here. I'm watching this for a retest. What would make that pattern fantastic is to have a new low bottoming tail, but it still looks great. All right, back to roll. One more. That's fine. I still like ESE the best. I don't talk about it for 5-10 minutes, but ESE, look, it's just cleaner to me. But yeah, they're both fine. Alarms now. CNC. We're in this. I said sell half pre-market. Beautiful bottoming pattern. We were looking to buy this buy setup yesterday, but I guess I just left. I didn't trigger it, but that would have been a home run entry at $30. Gold. I had a down alarm. We have a call spread that expires tomorrow. That's had an alarm, but I don't know why. No, that's silver. ALGM alarm. Why did I have an alarm on this? I have no idea. I don't see anything here. Those are the alarms. Let's go to earnings here. Oh, Greg was talking about kinks in the armor. Look at UPS as a short. Look at that downtrend. It's gapping down $1.80 though. That looks ugly. Put that in a window. And then his cousin FedEx, obviously, is weak 221.50, but I don't like that as a directional. I like that as a call spread though, over yesterday's high. But UPS is a superior directional. Here's earnings. Don't have many of them. Quamco gapping down, no pattern. OXM 46, a bullish gap, but excessive to resistance. Uh, 60. This would be a nice 1, 2, 3 if we got it. Alliance Entertainment. AR gapping up 68.20. Put spread idea, maybe 30-minute line. Love gapping down, bearish gap. I actually did the 15 put spread. So I should still have a profit because it's so friggin' far away. That's too sloppy. They're done with that. Alex mentioned CMI I like. I got an alarm on that. It's a bull rectangle on the weekly. Here's your flag from here to here. And here's your rectangle. These 3 oil ETFs, I've been watching them ever since the weekend. They just, it's trades too sloppy though. I love the put spread, but the spreads are crazy. XLE gapping down, which is good. XOP gapping down. It's a buy setup with a turn. So if somebody wants to look under the hood for all 3 of those ETFs, Figure's an IPO that's coming up today. Marriott rolling over, sell setup weekly. It's on support here, so needs to go sideways a little bit. Hyatt call spread if there's any juice. Boeing might be rolling. These are on Sam's list. Rockwell, little sell setup after cracking. They're not ready, but they're watches. Urban sell setup. This I was watching all day yesterday. Got killed on earnings, and I was watching this to try to sell it, make it puts, and it just gave me no entries. Now that it's gapping up, I like it as a day trade long, and I'll be looking at, 1 and 8 DTE put spreads again. G Pro we're in, but you can add 1, 2, 3, 4. Roadrunner, we're not in, but over yesterday's high, I like. Phenom, it's more of a put spread. The Solana broke out. I got this Ultra ETF. The trade's wild. Trade's like an ADR, but it's bullish. It's the FedEx. Vince 380 gap too big. I ran, and we were watching that yesterday. I never triggered it. Clar IPO yesterday. You see the bar over here. Alex, we've never adjusted the left margin either. Alex, help me clean all this stuff up. Let's see, we looked at, UNH, we're in. So now I tighten stuff. Mogu's ripping here. I've noticed the past week there's been some stocks that have been ripping, and most of them are, I've kind of looked like they're been moving on Bitcoin stuff. MU, that to me, hold on. Well, yeah, I did roll. MU, to me is I got synopsis other computer. This is a call spread, a 1 DTE call spread. Same with SanDisk. Look at this thing. Wow, now it's going to, now I like it better. When you do gap and craps, the bigger the exhaustion gap, the better. So look, I was looking at this morning at 76. And then look, it just ripped, which I didn't see. So that looks fantastic. So we now just have to wait for an intraday reversal. Postage, full rectangle after igniting gap. That looks great. Cruise lines, this one's going sideways. You know, I don't know. I got better to watch. TD. It's sloppy. Pittsburgh would be better. Let me check 74. Stupid house is not allowing me to open it on two computers. Such a stupid rule. Why can't I use it on two computers? My account. TD 75s are 30 by 50, so not enough. Now we're going to go up this way. Watch list items, flowers broke out. Greg mentioned Sterl yesterday. That's not a big gap. So that would be a great 30-minute high, provided it doesn't run too much. Looks like it's gapping just to yesterday's high. BMNR. It's trying to make the turn. I'm in no rush, but I like the weekly. Higher low here. CNK. 1, 2, 3, 4. Not bad. Synopsis we talked about. Visco. This is Sam's company, Visco. Daily, weekly, monthly. I like. Let's watch a pullback on Visco. CMI alarm. Okay, so now this would be a great 1, 2, 3. Reset the alarm now to 4:05:30. Q's off to a good start. Yesterday morning, there were some ugly FANG pullbacks. Couple of alarms here going off. XPEV still not ready for me. CNK 30-minute high maybe. PRMB. We shorted a half lot yesterday. You can add under yesterday's low, but actually my up alarm went off. Let me reset it. Dash. We have a put spread, up alarm, going fine. Fires tomorrow. 263. Low alarm 257. ESE. Okay, now I'm going to reset it 205.70. All right, 205.50 right there. Neg up alarm. That's the one I mentioned a retest. And it's still not ready. Still not ready. I think it had a bottoming tail. Nice out, pre-market half of CNC. Eric, should we just kill this? I sold half already. Or let's give it 5 minute low. I just don't feel like giving up all those gains. If, yeah, it's worth watching. Put on the list. If even, I don't blame you, Alex. I give them room to try to get bigger targets, as you know. My neg is moving here. I just don't trust the turn yet, but if you want to do a third lot, I can't blame you. Let me check. Make it puts for tomorrow. They got weird puts because it must have been a business combination. Man, look at him use Sandus, both still ripping. All right, this one we gotta do a call spread. This is a rocket ship that will run. Oh, there's no weeklies. Shoot. Uh, the $90 calls naked for next week is 170, 180. Shoot. I don't trust an 8 DTE. ESE alarm again. ESC looks great. Buy half lot stuff yesterday slow. $665.
I don't think my mic was working, Dan. I said kill it.
No, it was not. It wasn't working. All right, G Pro up alarm. Well, I gave it some 5 minute low, 2 more minutes of just hope mode, which is right now. So 34.28. Let's check our UNH also. I tightened the stuff.
IWM above the 5 minute bars high. Stop below the low. Or let it break out and buy a pullback, 1 minute or 2 minute or whatever. The size of the stop should be adequate for whatever jiggle's going to happen. I know there's a pre-market high there, but the IWM chart supports it going higher.
Mm-hmm. Oh, Dash, we actually have a directional. I thought it's a put spread. All right, so Dash 2. Let's move stuff break even now. Call Dash to the pizza delivery company. Use spiders, breakout failure, IWM the best. Click, yeah, click looks good, particularly if it closes like that. Yeah, yeah, like daily, weekly, monthly, looks great. Yeah, let's buy a half. Wow. Nine 11, obviously. World Trade Towers. FTMT. It's a bottoming pattern. For these, I'd wait for a closing breakout, but I'll put it on the list. I like the weekly retest also. You could check a put spread also, particularly tomorrow. It's just a bounce on a downtrend. I don't like it. I can find substantially better day or swing setups. PEG up alarm. Where this is in the ETF alarm.
You did the IWM or the futures, or like when I mention IWM, because that's the underlying, let's say, right? The focus of the trade is going to be either the futures or the leveraged instrument with sell half.
CMI alarm. That looks good. That's fine, Trent. So you didn't tell me. Well, it's actually one DTE, but yeah, I say two if it's early in the morning, like no. All right, so that's why you gotta tell me. You gotta tell me what you're looking. So that's fine. That's fine. 275 if there's juice. That's TRMB. Stop it. Shit. We got TRMB stop. We had a half one. Triggered half one. CPP. It's sloppy. That's just too sloppy for me. Wolf. Strong, the emergency entry and stop. It's OIH breaking out. It's just I don't like all these overlapping bars. And the I looked at all three of them for put spreads, and it was spreads are crazy for some reason. Maybe they'll simmer down.
out of the back half of IWN. Big deep retracement. Cardinals intraday are bullish.